Picture this, a vast, desolate desert, under a sky so dark it feels like it's hiding something. The air is dry, the silence almost deafening, broken only by the faint whistle of the wind, carrying secrets across the sand. It's 1955, and you're standing in the heart of the Nevada desert, 80 miles north of Las Vegas. Somewhere in this barren wilderness lies a place that has sparked fear, fascination, and endless speculation. Area 51, a military base so shrouded in secrecy that for decades, the U.S. government denied its very existence. To some, it's a testing ground for cutting-edge aircraft, a place where spies and soldiers crafted tools to win the Cold War. To others, it's something far more extraordinary, a vault of extraterrestrial secrets, a hub for UFOs, a place where the truth about life beyond Earth is locked away. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Conspiracy Uncovered, where we dive headfirst into the enigma of Area 51. This isn't just a story about a military base. It's a journey into the heart of one of the greatest mysteries of our time. Was Area 51 just a Cold War relic, or is it proof we're not alone in the universe? Buckle up, because we're about to unravel the truth, or at least get as close as we can. Let's set the scene. It's the 1950s, and the world is gripped by the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a high-stakes game of espionage, each racing to outdo the other in technology, weaponry, and intelligence. The U.S. needs a secret place to test its most advanced projects, far from prying eyes, especially those of Soviet satellites. Enter Groom Lake, a remote, dry lake bed in the Nevada desert, surrounded by rugged mountains and endless sand. In 1955, the CIA establishes a classified facility here, codenamed Area 51. Its official purpose? To develop and test spy planes like the U-2, a high-altitude marvel capable of photographing Soviet bases from 70,000 feet. The project is so secret that even the pilots who fly these missions are sworn to silence. The base is off-limits, surrounded by armed guards, barbed wire, and signs warning use of deadly force authorized. To the outside world, Area 51 doesn't exist. It's not on any map. It's not in any public record. But the secrecy only fuels curiosity. Why go to such lengths to hide a place? What's really happening behind those fences? To understand Area 51, we need to step back into the America of the 1950s. The nation is on edge. The Korean War has just ended, but the threat of communism looms large. McCarthyism is sweeping the country, with accusations of Soviet spies at every turn. The space race is heating up, and the launch of Sputnik in 1957 sends shockwaves through the US, proving the Soviets are ahead in technology. At the same time, the public is fascinated by science fiction. Movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still and War of the Worlds fill theaters, feeding a growing obsession with aliens and UFOs. Reports of strange lights in the sky are becoming more common, especially in the deserts of the American Southwest. Roswell, New Mexico is already infamous for the alleged 1947 UFO crash, where the military claimed a weather balloon went down. But conspiracy theorists insist it was an alien spacecraft. Against this backdrop, Area 51 becomes a lightning rod for speculation. If the government is hiding something, this remote base in the desert seems like the perfect place to do it. Let's walk through the early days of Area 51. The U-2 program is a triumph. The plane, with its sleek design and incredible altitude, gives the US a critical edge in spying on the Soviets. But testing it requires absolute secrecy. The Nevada desert is ideal, isolated, vast, and far from civilian eyes. Pilots are flown in under cover of darkness, and workers at the base live under strict rules. No one talks about Area 51 outside its gates. By the 1960s, the base expands to test other aircraft, like the SR-71 Blackbird, a jet so fast it could outrun missiles. These planes are unlike anything the world has seen, with shapes and speeds that seem almost otherworldly. To locals living in nearby towns like Rachel, Nevada, the strange lights and sounds coming from Groom Lake are impossible to ignore. Some report seeing glowing objects darting across the sky, moving in ways no known aircraft could. Are these just experimental planes, or something else entirely? The rumors grow louder in the 1970s and 1980s as more people report UFO sightings near Area 51. The base's secrecy makes it a magnet for speculation. If the government is testing planes, why not UFOs? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. The 1947 Roswell incident has already planted the seed that the military might be hiding alien technology. By the 1980s, Area 51 is no longer just a military secret. It's a cultural phenomenon, whispered about in conspiracy circles and sci-fi forums. But it's one man's story that will catapult Area 51 into the global spotlight, turning it from a shadowy base into the epicenter of UFO lore. His name is Bob Lazar, and his claims will change everything. It's 1989, and a man named Robert Scott Lazar steps into a Las Vegas TV studio to tell a story that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi novel. Speaking under the pseudonym Dennis, Lazar claims he was hired to work at a secret facility called S4, just south of Area 51. His job? To reverse engineer extraterrestrial spacecraft. Yes, you heard that right, alien technology. Lazar says he saw 9 UFOs stored in hangars, each powered by a mysterious substance he calls Element 115, a fuel source capable of bending gravity itself. He describes the crafts as sleek, disc-shaped, and unlike any human technology. According to Lazar, the government wasn't just testing planes at Area 51. They were studying alien ships, possibly recovered from crashes like Roswell. His story is explosive, aired on KLAS TV by reporter George Knapp, and it sends shockwaves through the conspiracy community. Let's pause to consider Bob Lazar's claims. He says he was recruited by a company called EG&G, a contractor for the Department of Energy, and worked at S4 in 1988 and 1989. He claims to have seen classified documents proving the existence of extraterrestrial life, including autopsy reports of aliens. He describes the UFOs in vivid detail. One was called the Sport Model, a saucer-like craft with a smooth, metallic surface that seemed to defy physics. Lazar says he was tasked with understanding how the propulsion systems worked, but the technology was so advanced, it was like trying to decode a language from another world. He even claims to have witnessed a test flight where a UFO rose silently from a hangar, glowed with an eerie light, and moved in ways no human craft could. But here's where it gets complicated. Lazar's story is compelling, but it's also controversial. Skeptics point out inconsistencies. His educational background is murky. He claims degrees from MIT and Caltech, but there's no record of him attending either. His employment history is equally hard to verify. EG&G and the government deny he ever worked at Area 51. Yet supporters argue this is exactly what you'd expect from a cover-up. Why would the government admit to hiring someone who spilled their biggest secret? Lazar's defenders point to small details that seem to hold up. He knew about element 115 years before it was officially synthesized in 2003. Though the real element 115, moscovium, is highly unstable and not a fuel source. He also described security measures and locations at Area 51 that were later confirmed by declassified documents. So, is Bob Lazar a whistleblower risking his life to tell the truth, or a clever storyteller weaving a tale for fame? Let's dive deeper into Lazar's story. He claims he was fired from S4 after he told friends about the UFO test flights and was caught sneaking them into the desert to watch. Soon after, he says his life was threatened. Mysterious phone calls, a drive-by shooting, and constant surveillance. In 1990, he was arrested for unrelated charges, which some believe were orchestrated to discredit him. The FBI later raided his home, allegedly searching for documents related to his claims. George Knapp, the journalist who broke the story, stands by Lazar, arguing that the lack of records is proof of a government effort to erase his past. Others, like physicist Stanton Friedman, call Lazar a fraud, pointing out that his story is too fantastical without hard evidence. Yet Lazar's calm demeanor, technical knowledge, and consistent narrative over decades have kept his story alive. Whether you believe him or not, one thing is undeniable. Bob Lazar put Area 51 on the map, transforming it from a military secret into a global obsession. Let's step back into the desert and explore what else was happening around Area 51 during this time. By the late 1980s, the base had become a pilgrimage site for UFO enthusiasts. People flocked to the highways near Groom Lake, hoping to catch a glimpse of strange lights. One spot, known as the Black Mailbox, became a gathering place for sky watchers. The mailbox, owned by a local rancher, was said to mark the best vantage point to see UFOs. Night after night, people camped out, armed with binoculars and cameras, reporting glowing orbs, zigzagging lights, and objects that seemed to defy gravity. Were these experimental aircraft, like the stealthy F-117 Nighthawk, which was tested at Area 51 and declassified in 1988, or were they something more? The government's silence only fueled the fire. Declassified documents from the 1990s confirmed Area 51's role in testing aircraft, but they offered no answers about UFOs. The CIA acknowledged the base's existence in 2013, releasing files about the U-2 and SR-71 programs, but these were heavily redacted. The lack of transparency left room for speculation. If Area 51 was just for planes, why the decades of denial? Why the armed patrols and restricted airspace? The secrecy seemed excessive, even for a military base. And then there were the stories from locals, ranchers, truck drivers, and diner waitresses who claimed to have seen things they couldn't explain. One man, a retired Air Force veteran, said he saw a disc-shaped object hover over Groom Lake in 1978, silent and glowing. A woman in Rachel, Nevada, reported her car stalling on a desert road as a bright light passed overhead. These stories, dismissed by skeptics as folklore, added to the mythos of Area 51. Fast forward to 2019, when Area 51 became a global phenomenon for a very different reason. A college student named Matty Roberts created a Facebook event titled Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. It was meant as a joke, a tongue-in-cheek call for people to Naruto run into the base to see them aliens. But the internet had other plans. Within days, over 2 million people RSVP'd, and the event went viral. Memes flooded social media, pictures of aliens, UFOs, and absurd plans to breach the base. The world was captivated, not because anyone seriously planned to storm Area 51, but because it tapped into a universal curiosity. What's really going on there? The event grew so big that the U.S. military issued warnings, reminding people that Area 51 was a restricted zone. Local authorities braced for chaos, expecting thousands to descend on the tiny town of Rachel, Nevada. On September 20th, 2019, the day of the raid, the reality was far less dramatic. A few hundred people showed up, most treating it as a festival. They wore alien costumes, danced to music, and held signs like "Free the Aliens" and "I Want to Believe." Two music festivals, dubbed Alien Stock, popped up nearby, drawing thousands more. The military stood watch, but no one tried to storm the base. Instead, the event became a celebration of the Area 51 myth, a mix of humor, rebellion, and genuine curiosity. Matty Roberts, the creator, was stunned by the response. "It was a joke," he said, "but it showed how much people want answers." The Storm Area 51 phenomenon proved that Area 51 wasn't just a place, it was a symbol, a challenge to authority, a question mark in the desert. Let's explore the theories about what's really happening at Area 51. There are three main schools of thought, each with its own logic and flaws. First, the official story. Area 51 is a testing ground for advanced military technology. Declassified documents confirm it was used for the U-2, SR-71, and F-117 Nighthawk, planes that were revolutionary for their time. The strange lights, just experimental aircraft, often flown at night to avoid detection. This theory is grounded in evidence, but it doesn't explain everything. Why the excessive secrecy even after the programs were declassified? Why the reports of objects moving in ways no known plane could? The second theory is the UFO cover-up. This one suggests Area 51 is a storage facility for alien technology, possibly recovered from crashes like Roswell in 1947. Believers point to Bob Lazar's claims, the persistent UFO sightings, and the government's reluctance to disclose details. Some even speculate that the military has been reverse engineering alien crafts for decades, using their technology to develop advanced weapons or propulsion systems. The lack of hard evidence, photos, videos, or physical artifacts, weakens this theory, but the secrecy keeps it alive. If there's nothing to hide, why not open the base to scrutiny? The third theory is the wildest. Area 51 is a hub for collaboration with extraterrestrials. This idea posits that the U.S. government has made contact with aliens and is working with them, trading access to Earth for advanced technology. It's the stuff of sci-fi movies, but it has its believers. Some point to Lazar's Element 115 claims or alleged leaked documents mentioning EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities. Others cite whistleblowers like David Grush, a former intelligence officer who, in 2023, testified to Congress about non-human craft recovered by the government. There's no concrete proof, but the theory thrives on the government's history of secrecy and the public's distrust. Let's consider the evidence, or lack thereof. The CIA's 2013 declassification confirmed Area 51's role in military testing, but it offered no answers about UFOs. Satellite images show runways, hangars, and buildings, but nothing clearly extraterrestrial. Witnesses like Lazar provide compelling stories, but no documents or physical proof. The 1947 Roswell incident, often linked to Area 51, remains contentious. The military's weather balloon explanation doesn't satisfy everyone. Then there's the cultural factor. Area 51 has become a canvas for our fears and hopes about the universe. It's a place where we project our desire to know if we're alone, or our suspicion that the government isn't telling us everything. Area 51's influence extends far beyond the desert. It's a staple of pop culture, shaping movies, TV shows, books, and games. The 1996 film Independence Day depicted Area 51 as a secret lab housing an alien ship. The X-Files made it a recurring theme, with Mulder and Scully chasing clues about government conspiracies. Video games like Area 51 and Call of Duty feature the base as a backdrop for alien battles. Books like Annie Jacobson's Area 51, An Uncensored History, dive into its secrets, blending fact and speculation. Even music, from punk bands to EDM artists, references the base. Why does Area 51 resonate so deeply? Because it taps into something primal, our need to question, to explore, to believe there's more to the world than what we're told. Let's revisit the Storm Area 51 event for a moment. It wasn't just a meme, it was a cultural moment. For a brief time, the world united around a shared curiosity. People didn't really expect to find aliens, but they wanted to push back against the wall of secrecy. The event showed how Area 51 has become more than a physical place. It's a symbol of resistance, a middle finger to the idea that some truths are off-limits. The festival goers in Rachel, Nevada, weren't storming the gates, but they were demanding answers, even if it was through laughter and alien costumes. What about the skeptics? They argue Area 51 is just a military base, nothing more. The UFO sightings, optical illusions, weather phenomena, or classified aircraft. Bob Lazar, a con artist with a knack for storytelling, the secrecy, standard procedure for a nation protecting its military edge. Yet, even skeptics admit the government's tight-lipped approach invites distrust. When you hide something for so long, people will fill the gaps with their own stories. And Area 51 has inspired countless stories, from the plausible to the outlandish. Let's imagine for a moment that the UFO theories are true. What would it mean? If Area 51 houses alien technology, it could rewrite our understanding of science, physics, and our place in the universe. If the government is working with extraterrestrials, the implications are staggering, ethical, political, even spiritual. But without evidence, these remain tantalizing what-ifs. The truth, as the X-Files famously said, is out there. But where? Is it buried in the Nevada sand, locked in a hangar at Area 51, or lost in a maze of government red tape? As we wrap up, let's reflect on why Area 51 matters. It's not just about aliens or secret planes. It's about our need to question authority, to seek answers, to believe in something bigger. Area 51 is a mirror, reflecting our hopes, fears, and fascination with the unknown. Whether you think it's a military base, a UFO vault, or something in between, one thing is clear: the mystery endures. What do you believe is hidden at Area 51? Are we alone in the universe, or is the truth closer than we think? Drop your theories in the comments. We read every single one. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the heart of the Nevada desert, hit the like button, subscribe to Conspiracy Uncovered, and turn on notifications for our next episode, where we'll tackle the moon landing hoax. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next mystery.